Last week, Major League Baseball made the controversial move to relocate the 2021 MLB All-Star Game to Denver away from its intended location of Atlanta. This was a direct response to a new bill that was passed in the state of Georgia that puts severe restrictions on voting that will likely impact low-income voters as well as minority voters. And, we've kind of there's been this conversation in the, not just the press, not just the political sphere, but also in the sports world about, sports and politics and then mixing. And we've seen, I think this is a conversation that I think has been, in the news a lot more than it usually is, because usually you hear about it in spurts, every few months, every few years. I feel like it's been a constant thing though ever since honestly Kaepernick, and I mean constant thing as in it's literally been covered almost every single day, and like which makes it kind of different from what we've seen in the past. Like in the '90s, you saw spurts, like I said, but what do you think about them moving the All Star game? Is this something that people really should be upset about, or is this just what sports leagues do sometimes when they want to make a point? Because we've seen stuff like this in the past.
What I do think is that I don't think necessarily that the All Star game. I mean, Georgia. It sounds to me like Georgia's having problems in themselves. I mean, right now Minnesota's having problems too. I hate the fact that it's getting to a point now where sports is being intertwined and is being affected by a lot of the injustices that are going on, a lot of the like social justice issues that we have in this country. It's a shame now that when we were having a lot of those issues, like when the COVID broke out and everything like that, the one thing that kind of restored sanity within the country was sports, and now that's being directly affected by these other factors. And I mean, it was the MLB's choice. You know what? Maybe they felt that it was the right decision to make. So I'm not going to question them. I'm not going to question their decision. I do think though that we're going to get to a point where we have to start drawing a line between where sports takes, like, because my viewpoint of it is this is a lot of like professional athletes, which they're using their platform, they're stepping up, they're speaking out on social justice. And I don't know if you're noticing this, but it doesn't really seem like it's working. So after a while, it's going to get to a point where, maybe we let the athletes have a say, but we're going to have to also keep that separate from the actual injustices that are going on. And I don't even agree with the injustices that are going on. Like, it just, I think it gets to a point where, we shouldn't start letting other industries that are not directly related to it be affected. And I think that's what's happening with the MLB now. Like with the NBA right now, we had the issue in Minnesota right now. Every game, the hockey game, the baseball game, the basketball game, everything was canceled in Minnesota because people were preparing for riots to break out tonight because of what happened in Minnesota. So we're getting to a point now where, the entertainment industry, that's what this is. This is entertainment. The entertainment industry is being directly impacted by stuff like this. And I think that's a problem. So, but with regards to the All-Star game, the MLB, they did what they felt was best for the baseball game. Listen, it's the All-Star game. You know what I'm saying? Like, the All-Star game is more for the players than it is for the fans. Like,
Right.
it's like the one thing where it's not for the fans. Like, it's more for the players. So I don't think the players necessarily care where they're playing. The guys that get voted to the All-Star game, they care more about getting voted to the game as opposed to where they can care less whether the game is played in Mexico. They can care less whether the game is played in China, Indonesia. Just getting voted to the game and being recognized for their skill as an all-star, that's what they care about. So I don't think the players necessarily care too much about the game being moved. More or less, the individuals are going to care more about, whether they're actually a part of it or not. So that's
Right.
my.
Right. No, I see that. So, the effectiveness, I guess, of some of the protests, I think you can kind of weigh whether or not or how much they've been effective. I think some people would be correct in the assumption that, while they might bring light to issues, they don't do a lot to actually fix it. But then again, who is it up to actually fix it? It's up to people in power. But going back to, like, my thing is though, So personally, I don't have a problem with the MLB doing this. I don't think anyone who has a problem with this, or the idea that sports and activism or sports and politics have never mixed. That it's just it's not untrue thing. Like it's always been like that. Go back to Jackie Robinson. That was look his signing. Jackie Robinson just happened to be a very good player, but his signing was also very politically motivated as well. He was the first African American to play in Major League Baseball during segregation. It was a big freaking deal. You can go to Fists of Fury at like we all remember Fists of Fury at the 1968 Olympics was protesting injustices in civil rights injustices. Either you can go back to what's his name, Abdul Rahif from the Nuggets in the 90s. He was protesting the anthem before Kaepernick. So throughout history, and Muhammad Ali with the Vietnam War and refusing to fight, like so this type of stuff has happened throughout history, and so my big problem is when people lie, right, and say that this stuff has never happened in sports, and man, I miss a time when sports and politics didn't mix. Sports and politics have always mixed. Sports and activism always mix because people who once didn't have a platform now have a platform to talk about their experiences, the way they grew up, and things affecting their communities. And a lot of these people just so happen to be coming from low income communities, coming from minority backgrounds. So, my big problem with this, as far as this goes, isn't at all with the MLB, because the MLB, like you said, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. I'm not going to talk about the actual law that's being debated, or because it's not a politics show. I'm just talking about the sports side of it. It just, when your argument is that sports and politics have never mixed, it doesn't make sense. It's factually incorrect. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.